So where we started off, or left off last time, I was kind of showing you how the clipboard concept works, because like I was saying, when you copy paste something, it goes somewhere. You can get back to that. And a lot of times when you're doing a copy paste, you might find yourself copy and pasting the same information constantly. So like, let's say I wanted to just simply copy lorem ipsum. Again, shortcut for copy is what? Control C. But I'm going to go up to the clipboard here. I'm going to pull this out. You notice now I've got lorem ipsum. And so what I'm going to do is, let's say I need to copy this string of words here as well. I'm going to do a Control C. Notice lorem ipsum is still on the clipboard. So I'm going to create a new paragraph, and I'm going to come over to lorem ipsum, and I can paste that. So it's remembering all the times you've done Control C, and your clipboard can get pretty full. You may have actually gotten a Windows error before, when you, especially if you're copying pictures, and it'll say something like, your clipboard is full, do you wish to clear it? What they're referring to is this hidden area that you never see, but every time you hit Control C, it's storing that data. So here it is, and then so I can come up here and I can clear out, or I'm going to do a double enter, and I'm going to do a paste all. And so you can see I just pasted a string combining those two copies. So that can be a time saver for doing different things.
Is there a command for that, for pasting in a row? So instead of, you know how you Control V to paste, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you wanted to paste the first one, but you hit the same command and then we'll paste the next one on your clipboard? Or do you have to go...
Oh, so you're saying like using macros. I don't know. I don't know if you could assign each copy a macro, but that would be really cool. Because, yeah, if you've got the same set of... You know what, now that I think about it, you probably wouldn't do it as a copy macro. You would just simply create a macro. And so, like, you press F1 and it's going to do that.
What if you had something that you use, like, say, in every paper that you write? Not saying that you will, but let's say you have the same exact text that you use on every paper. Just like, let's say your name or whatever class. And
Yes.
You end up paste it from document to document. And can you do that? Or
Well, what you would actually do is set up an autocomplete. And so instead of having it always stored in the clipboard and doing a paste, you would set up a very specific set of characters. For example, I actually do this with myself. I get tired of typing my email over and over and over again. So if I type BP space, it's going to fill out my personal email. If I type PE space, it'll autofill my school email.
So what if you wanted PE, but you didn't want it to autofill? You just wanted PE just because of that?
Yeah, so, well, you would have to undo the autofill on that.
Oh, so you'd have to...
Yeah, but that's why you want to pick phrases that are not common two letters that go together. So let's say you have something that starts with the letter I, and you want it to autofill that. You're not going to do I space and have it autofill that, because obviously you're going to use the letter I by itself a lot. So, you know, something I could even do for my email, I could do BP and then @ symbol, and then space, and then it would autofill that. So that's going to be using autocomplete rather than using the clipboard, but kind of the same concept. All right, moving along through our document. I already showed you how to remove blank paragraphs. What is the one thing I have to do, turn on, in order to see my blank paragraphs?
The cool little thingy at the top right next to the normal, right under the review.
Yes, the paragraph marks is the technical word for that. Show hide paragraph marks. I can then turn that on, and then I could remove a paragraph. All right. Next thing in this section here, changing the information in the properties. This is kind of cool because what can happen here is maybe you need to search for a document. You don't remember necessarily what you actually titled it or saved it as, but you might have some properties in here. So what I can do is I can come into, let's see, this is all a little different, show all properties. And you can see right now, manager, the author of the document, when it was last modified, and I've got different things going on over here. I can add a title to this, and in this case my document was lorem ipsum. I can add tags. You guys use hashtags all the time in Twitter, Instagram, and so forth. What really is a hashtag?
A pound sign.
Well, not the symbol used to do it,
Oh.
but what is a hashtag in its simplest term?
It's like a description, kind of.
Description or a keyword.
Summary.
Yeah, it's a keyword. So let's say I'm going to do paper, research, history, Hernandez. Things that are going to be associated with whatever I'm writing. So that way, should it ever, I can't find it, I can do a Windows search. It's going to find those tags and be like, oh, I know I did a history paper for Hernandez. I can put in those search terms and it's going to find this paper, even though I may not remember what the file name was or what the title was. Any comments about it that I want to do, I can set up a status. So my status here, this is a draft.
What would a comment be for? Would that be like a copyright if you're sharing the file?
Yeah, that's one thing you could put in there is you could put in your copyright. Or you could put in, oh, I don't know. This is just an idea. I don't know where I'm going with this. So if you're going to come back to this at a later date, you'll have that comment. It'll kind of refresh your memory. Maybe you go back to this document a year later and you're like, what was this for? Or maybe you're an office manager and you have particular documents that you only use it, maybe once a year. And you can be like, oh, well, this one is for summer school registration. You could put that in the comment section. Nobody else sees it, but you can get into your properties and be able to see that. So kind of nice. Author right here, it shows as admin because that's how I'm logged into Windows right now. But you could actually set up your own if you connect your live.com account. So then, just like Google, you can search for documents based on owner. So that's how that would work. All right, moving along. Formatting characters, this is going to be pretty straightforward, so we're going to fly through this section. First of all, characters are designed as single things. They are not necessarily letters. They could be symbols. They could be spaces. Font is how it's the style of the character, how it's going to look. Examples of fonts would be Times New Roman. That's in Calibri. Those are the two common ones you guys use. Point size. All font is measured in points. Standard point font for writing a paper is like 11 and 12. 72 points equals 1 inch if it was printed. So that's kind of how you can gauge that. So here they show an example of Arial 14 font. And then you got Comic Sans 14-point font. You don't normally design with Comic Sans. The two different types of fonts are serif and sans serif. So what I'm going to do is... Alright, Dakota, go ahead and explain the difference.
I think please tell me, is it serifs are the ones with the accents? And then the sans serifs are just like the blocky, like normal text?
Yeah, so serif font, the word sans means without. That's how you can kind of remember that. So serif font, I'm going to pull up Times New Roman, most commonly used serif type font. If you look at the tips of the letters, particularly on this S, you see how it's got that decorative little curl they usually refer to it as? You got it on the bottoms of all of the base fonts, so your R, your I, and your F's ends. Whereas these are just simple blocks, or they're either squared off or rounded. So this is a sans serif. They do not have the fancy tips, and the serif font does. Changing fonts, I just demonstrated it, but they want us to go through it. You highlight it, come up here, and you've got your font list. Word does show you what it's going to look like. That's how you change font. Changing font size, I've already showed that as well, right next to it. Change your points. Now what if I want 30-point font? Can I do it? How? Type it. Yeah, you don't have to pick from the list. You can type it. I could even do 30.5. Little trick in college, what we would do, the professor would say we needed to have fill pages rather than words. Couldn't be bigger than 12-point font. Well, see if a professor knows the difference between 12 and 12.5-point font trying to fill your space. You can add some space doing that. All right, changing font. All right, character attributes, also known really as formatting. Formatting is how does text look. And if you notice, this actually used to be all in one section in the old version of Word. It used to be in a section called the formatting toolbar. because you're changing how it looks. You've got bold, italic. Italic is going to be the slanted letters, underlined, strike through. Now,
Strike through 4.
okay, so strike through, you're going to see more often in news articles and blog writing, or if you are doing a draft. Strike through allows you to indicate something's been deleted, but you're still showing it so that the reader can see that, oh, you've deleted this. You might also do this if you're doing minutes for a business. So let's say, oh, I've got this sentence here. We don't need that in there. We don't want it. I'm going to go ahead and strike it out. And then that way, when you go to do the final copy, you can say, oh, that's been stricken from the record. Or maybe if you're doing minutes for a business, that needs to be voted on that you're striking that out. That language is being removed. So you need to still be able to show it, but the strike through indicates it's going to be deleted. These numbers, the X with the number below and above, what is that called? Right in here. I'm not going to hover over it so you can. Subscript and superscript. So here's how I remember it. Below the line, below the sea, submarine. Flying through the air, Superman. That's how I remember it. So this is if you are, well, they're doing exponents here. So you can do x squared. And you type the number. Just remember to turn it off. Or if you're going to do h2o. So that's how you would properly set that up. A couple other things with working with font sizing. Now, I changed font size manually with the numbers. Here's another way. They do want us to show multiple ways. These buttons right here are increase and decrease font size. So I can press this so you can see how it just goes up. Or I can press it and it goes down. Just another way to change font size. Now, changing case is one of my favorite tools. But the thing is it has to be set up properly the first time. At least it used to be, and I haven't tried it in the new version of Word. So, for example, I'm going to do a title. But I'm also going to come down here and do it like this. And I don't know if this will work in this version of Word. I've never tried it. But I can come over here and I can say, I want to change case, and I want this to be all uppercase. I don't have to go back and retype it. Now, what I'm curious is, because I had my caps lock on, will this work? It does. Didn't used to. So that is pretty sweet. So if you realize, boy, I really wish I didn't have my caps lock on while doing that, you can fix it. You can toggle case.
What's that?
So if you had started with, well, I guess you could use sentence case for the most part of it, but let's say you didn't realize your caps lock was on, but you're holding shift when you wanted to do capitals. So you inverted it, toggle case. Oops, I'm going smaller in size. Sentence case brings it back to standard. So there's where really awesome did not. I could go all lowercase. Here's another cool one. Oh, they don't have it here. Wonder if I can pull it up in my extra options. Yes. So I don't know if you knew you could do this. I'm going to make my font larger so you can see it. When you pull out, you always have these little pull-out windows, and I can get into additional options. And you can see here that now I've got regular italic, bold, bold italic, my font. I can change font color, underline style, which we're going to get into in just a second. I can do strike through, but now I can do double strike through. But one of my favorites is small caps. This just looks kind of fancy. I started that as caps, though. I wonder if that's why it's not going to work. Let's go back to sentence case. There we go. So you see how the my is actually bigger, and I'm going to do really. So the R is bigger. The capital letters, the true capitals, are a little bit larger, but the lowercase is also capitalized, or capital letters, but they're smaller. So I kind of like using that option, especially when doing titles or designing, doing something like that. All right, so now we're going to get into underlines, my really awesome title. And we're going to set up, whoops. Oh, actually what I was doing there on accident, because I had my mouse on the keyboard, I can take this And I can drag this to somewhere else. So I'm going to put my really awesome title up here now. And that's how you can move a block of text without copy paste. You can use a drag and drop. Okay. So I can go down to my underlines, but you'll notice I've got a whole bunch of different styles of underlines I can use. I can change my underline color. I can also go to more underlines. It's going to take me to this window again here. And I've got all these different underlines, so I can do a double squiggly. Okay. Cool, right? Something you'll probably never use. Unless making a poster, I don't know. Text effects. Know that text effects are different than word art. Is different than word art. Drop this down. That looks cool, especially if I'm making a poster to print. Throw a little reflection in there. Right? A lot fancier than what you can do in Google Docs. So text effects can be fun to play with. Nice little drop shadow. Alright, we did underlines. Did text effects. Did changing case. Highlighting, pretty straightforward. I'm going to highlight this paragraph. Got my highlight button here, by default yellow. I can drop it down, I can change my highlight color. Do you have to reselect it? Okay. Format Painter, we use this very briefly in PowerPoint. I'm going to highlight this. I like this font style. I want it to apply the exact same thing to this title. I click my Format Painter, and because I've actually done two steps here, I changed it to this gold gradient font, then I added the drop shadow. So instead of having to do two steps and making sure I get the right size and all of that for this, I simply click the Format Painter and drag it through here, and that inherits the exact same style. That's going to keep your document uniform looking as you move along. One of my favorite things, paragraph styles. Why would you use a paragraph style, or can anybody tell me even what a paragraph style is? Danny should know this.
Didn't I pay attention in class?
We use this in InDesign every day, every time we open up InDesign.
Oh yeah, it like changes the style and the text and your style size.
It changes the style of your text to something that's been predefined. Why would you do that?
So you don't have to keep looking here every time to change it every time?
Yeah, it's going to keep it uniform, and you don't have to go back and do that. So I use paragraph styles a lot, particularly in InDesign. Oh, one thing I need to mention about paragraph. You can change your line spacing by pulling that out here, and also line spacing can be set from this right here. Paragraph styles, I gotta try to remember where that was at. So here's where you're setting your style set, and you can choose a theme. So you can see actually kind of in the background how my font is changing. Control-Alt-Shift-S. So here's your styles. So now this is set up as normal, and I could edit these if I wanted to. But then the cool thing is like, okay, well, strong should be bold. And it makes it bold for me. Maybe this is going to be my title. But it's plain, it's boring, it's black and white. So you can go ahead and, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Update title to match selection. And see, now this, my title up here changed as well because I applied the title style. Now if I go back and put in subtitle, it's different. Click back on title. So I don't even need the format painter anymore. So if I come down here, new title. Click on my title. There you go. I've got a new title already set up, and it's going to be the exact same size, same font, same color, everything as all my previous titles. Again, keeping your document uniform. So that is really great. Think about this. When we make the school newspaper, we have to create a byline, which is who the article is by. That's going to be the person's name, bold. Below it, we've got the sub-byline, which is like the person's title. And then we have to have our body copy. We have to have our title copy. And all of this is different size fonts, different styles. And it would be a pain to be like, all right, well, I got to go to Times New Roman, 12-point font, bold for this. And then try to remember everything we're doing. Whereas we created a template document, set up our styles, and everyone just says, oh, title, click it, boom. And everybody's looks the same, even though we're all working in a different document. They don't need to ask, hey, what was the font size and color for all of this? Just click it. So that was applying a style. Modifying a style, I just showed you how to apply that. And here they're actually showing you if you can go into the Modify Styles section. And you can really customize stuff. So I could create a completely new style, name it. What's it based on? I can set up my formatting. So I got my font, size, bold, italic, underline, colors, and then add to the styles gallery. And then anytime I choose that, that's what it's going to be. Want to finish this section? I think I'm done though. Oh, word art. You can go onto insert word art, and we did the same thing in PowerPoint, so I don't want to go over that all again. Only other thing is removing formatting, home, font group. You've got this letter A with an eraser that brings it back to default. That is to clear your formatting. There we go. We finished the section. Oh, right on time.